What's up everyone, it's Karthik with MoneyVest. Welcome on board for our Friday market open live stream. Hope you all are doing great. We got lots to discuss. We are going to be talking about BMR in more detail as well. I've got a video coming out later today on BMR more specifically, and we are going to of course be talking about the overall market, and it is a long weekend as well because markets are indeed closed on Monday. That's going to be January 19th in observance of Martin Luther King Day. And as a result, the markets are closed. It's going to be a shorter week and it is a longer weekend. So hope you all are doing great and are having a great start to your day, morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you're joining from. Pre-market, we do have QQQs pushing higher by over 0.5%. S&P 500 is also just a little bit over 17 basis points higher. We got Tesla up over 30 basis points. We got Nvidia pushing up almost 70 basis points as well, trading up to $188 back over those levels. We got Bitcoin sitting at just over $95,000. Ethereum sitting at just over 3,300, and we got crude oil sitting back under 60 bucks a barrel. Volatility sitting at just over 15.5. We got gold and silver also moving once again, as they have been the best performing asset class in 2025 and so far in 2026 as well, sitting back over $4,600 per ounce, and silver prices sitting at just shy of $89 per ounce here. So if my audio and video is good, just give me a thumbs up. Just want to make sure there are no technical issues and we are good to go. Let's do this. Happy Friday everybody. Hope you all are doing great, and it is a long weekend as I said earlier. So we know what meme is going to be coming in on Discord on Sunday, on Monday as well. We know exactly what meme I'm going to be sending. It's always a funny meme. It's the best meme when there is a long weekend, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Always cracks me up when I see that meme during longer weekends. So yes, long weekend. Let's make up for it today, and whatever trades you are placing, we are going to be already pricing in for a 4-day trading week for next week. Now, market breadth has improved a lot. We are sitting at over 72% of stocks that are trading above their 50-day moving average. So if I just maximize this chart, let's see, let me just do this like that. One second. SF. All right, so S5FI. So stocks trading above their 50-day moving average is now sitting at well over 72%. So if you come over to the weekly chart for this, anything really over 83% is essentially a signal for us to be extremely cautious and careful because market breadth has become overbought. So this is a very, very good market breadth signal. And what it allows us to understand is what percentage of stocks are trading above their 50-day moving average. The more, that means the market breadth is very strong, but at the same time, we are extremely overbought as well. And all of these, every time we dip down to these levels at 2.7, 2.3, or 11, or down to 9 or 8, anything sub 10 is by far one of the best buying opportunities. And you can essentially identify some of these levels where markets were indeed selling off. May 2022, September 2022, October 2023, we got December 2024, March and April 2025, and more recently, not quite getting down to those levels, but at 37, 34, 38% in November 2025. So all these levels, very, very strong levels to keep in mind, right? So this is exactly what we keep track of when it comes to market breadth. And again, it doesn't take a genius to understand this is a sell signal right here, and this is indeed a buy signal when we get down to some very, very attractive levels inside these green rectangles. And right now we are indeed moving higher. So from 34 to over 72% in just a matter of 2 months, more and more stocks have participated to the upside. More companies have moved back above their moving averages. And as a result, if you take a look at sector performance specifically, coming over to the performance, which sectors are leading, we got materials that are up the most, 7.5% in the last, year to date. And in the last 1 year, they're up almost 12%. Let's take a look at the last 3 months specifically. We got materials up 11%, energy up 11%, healthcare up 10.8%, and industrials up 9.5%. So those 4 sectors, which were kind of lagging for a really long time, are the ones up the most in the last 3 months. In the last 3 months, they're up the most. In fact, if you look at the last 1 month also, they're very much leading this market higher. Materials in the last 1 month, 8% higher. Energy is up 6.2%. Industrials up 5.6%. And then you have your consumer staples up 3.2%. So those are, that's where liquidity is also going to. Technology is having a little bit of a hard time. It's mostly consolidating sideways. In fact, most of Magnificent 7 stocks and big tech is indeed struggling. So if you come over to the market snapshot, you'll notice that a lot of them are indeed trading down, either in a pullback or in a correction. So, Amazon down almost 8% from all-time highs. We got Apple down over 10.5%. So it's actually in a correction. We got Nvidia down over 11.8% in a correction as well. We got Tesla down over 12% in a correction. Got Advanced Micro Devices, Broadcom also in a correction, down anywhere from 14 to 17%. So yes, these are stocks that are selling off. I haven't even gotten to Microsoft. Microsoft has really been struggling quite a bit. Take a look at that, 17%. And then of course, Meta's in a bear market, down 22%. And we got Qualcomm, Netflix, Oracle, Adobe, all of them in a bear market right now. So selling off anywhere from 30, 40, 50, 60% from all-time highs. So it's really technology that has struggled in the last 1 to 3 months, and sectors like energy, industrials, materials, staples, they're the ones leading this market higher, and market breadth has gotten better because of them. So that is a good thing. That is a very, very good thing, because market is indeed broadening out to other sectors. But at the same time, if it gets too overbought, then that's when we get that pullback. That's when we get that volatility spike in the future as well. Okay, let's talk about BMR. What is going on here? BMR is down about 13 basis points. It was down 5.5% yesterday. So one of the biggest news is indeed the big investment, $200 million investment that that Bitmain is making in Mr. Beast Industries. So, I watched the presentation. I watched the shareholder meeting, which Tom Lee put together. And we were having a discussion in the Discord as well. And I kind of mentioned this, that this is, I think, because of the branding and the promotional piece. I think that's really where the value add is, because of the synergy and getting exposure for Bitmain. That's where it's coming from. But there is no other financial or economical value add. It's essentially getting awareness of what Bitmain is trying to do, is where Mr. Beast comes in, because you never think of this kind of a partnership, but it did indeed happen. So is it a good time or a good idea to start position VUG for long-term portfolio? Hands down, my answer for myself would always be yes. If I'm looking at a long-term portfolio and I want growth, VUG is by far one of the best ETFs for long-term dollar cost averaging. We'll continue to dollar cost average and buy into this ETF, as well as SMH. Those are the two that I've mentioned time and time again. SMH is yet another all-time high at well over $400 per share right now. So yes, VUG, SMH, all of them, very, very good in my opinion. Vault says Tom Lee's lost. I think the presentation was actually quite... it was not very well presented because it wasn't organized. I think he was switching back and forth between a lot of slides. He was like, yeah, let me just go a couple more slides ahead. Let me just go back up a little bit. So it was a little bit all over the place to try to really understand what this partnership is all about. But, $200 million is a lot of capital being invested. And he briefly mentioned that Mr. Beast still owns over 51%, and there's other investors and other venture capital firms that are investing in Beast Industries for this huge undertaking. And he mentioned, with Ethereum potentially going up to $10,000 to $12,000 on a wider adoption, could potentially, result in $2 to $2.5 billion of rewards and stake revenue, which could catapult the valuation for BMR even higher. So it is, I would treat BMR as exactly what it is. It is a speculative strategic company, which is built on Ethereum and, of course, taking ownership in other moonshots as well, because Tom Lee exactly called it a moonshot. That's what he mentioned when he said Mr. Beast and Beast Industries were taking a $200 million investment. It's a pretty expensive moonshot. It's a very, very high moonshot if you ask me. So, but that's what it is. I mean, he's expecting this to 5x or 10x or 20x over the long term. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I keep my position to a level what I can comfortably own. So if it goes down to, let's say, 10 or $5 or something, of course we'll evaluate way before that happens. But I would always mention this, when you are looking at companies or ETFs or stocks that do not have a long-term history of consistently growing their business revenues, track record of profitability, good balance sheets. If it's a fairly new business, fairly new idea, fairly new stock, it's really important to scale in to your position as you're gaining more confidence. So that is very, very important, right? So not going all in and making this into your biggest position just because Tom Lee's behind it, because that can be indeed disastrous as well. So, okay. It's my only down stock that I'm holding. Yep, for many of us, it's one of our only down stocks. I think Ethereum for the blockchain, right? Blockchain and for smart contracts. That's what Ethereum is going to be built on, is the technology for smart contracts. So I know that the contract system here in the UAE is also built on blockchain, and you can actually have smart contracts here that are on the Ethereum blockchain as well. So it is very powerful. It is useful for sure. So Power Rangers are ready. Did the BMR share dilution vote pass, yay or nay? I think a lot of people downvoted the Mr. Beast acquisition or the investment as well. Is that the RSI? So no, that's not the RSI. That is the market breadth that we were looking at. So we were looking at market breadth earlier, which is showing us what percentage of stocks are trading above or below their moving averages. A very, very important indicator to get a general level idea of the S&P 500, all the stocks, 500 plus companies, and to better understand, whether market breadth is overbought, oversold, or kind of moderating sideways. So that is the market breadth, which we also look at as part of our holistic analysis, quantitative analysis. When we're looking at volatility, when we're looking at money invest index, we're also looking at market breadth. We're looking at technical indicators to better understand the risk reward in the markets. So are you planning to sell a CSP on Hood? Yes, I am. I am planning a CSP on Robinhood, as well as, it was down quite a bit, 7.7% yesterday. That's incredible. So Robinhood market stock closes down 7.8% amid worries over delays in the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. So we're seeing a bit of a pullback. I'm looking at sub 100. If Robinhood trades down to $93, $94, that would be a blessing. And I would be more than happy to start with a CSP in the options portfolio for Robinhood at around those levels. I think right now the premiums are not going to be a lot for $94 or $95. So if you look at Robinhood for, let's say, 2 weeks out, $90.19, 95 is 61 cents, 7 delta. So if it can drop more, I would be very happy, and I would gladly sell a $95 or a $90 call CSP on Robinhood. Tom Lee's hair has finally taken over his brain. I don't know. I mean, time will tell. Time will tell everything. That's really what it comes down to. It's always interesting that with the world of investing in finance, it's really survivability, it's long-term sustainability, consistency, discipline is really what matters over the long term. It's not, because BMR is a very strong vehicle for Tom Lee to make some serious money. Like, his compensation's well in the $20 to $30 million, right? That's insane. And it's performance based. Some is actual compensation, some is performance based. So that is some serious bread that we're talking about. So I also do get that feeling sometimes that maybe he's using BMR as a good vehicle to kind of make some good money. But at the same time, I'm hoping, or at least I expect, that he has everyone's interest first, all the investors' interest at first. But again, I also don't like the idea of dilution, constant share dilution, to raise capital to then reinvest it into these initiatives, which may or may not work out, are kind of moonshots. So, but that is really what's holding down the stock, other than Ethereum's price. But even though Ethereum has had a decent run up, I mean, the last couple of weeks, I mean, Ethereum was up 6%. And then you've got BMR up 2% this week. Last week it was down 3%. Ethereum was also up. And the week before that, it was up another 6%. So we are actually up for Ethereum from 2,700 to 3,300. We're up 21% for Ethereum. And I mean, you could argue that BMR is basically flat. It's not really gone anywhere in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, we've gone from, let's say, $27 to $30, so 13%. So it is holding down the stock a little bit, for sure. You know, even though Ethereum is moving. So time will tell everything. So keep your exposures limited. See where your conviction is. Is the saying in Tom Lee, we trust, how much you believe in that. So it really, I think it comes down to your personal thesis on that company. All right, let's do some Q&A. It's 9 a.m. Eastern, so let's just do some questions. Any questions related to individual stocks, fundamentals, technicals, macroeconomics, recession, options, anything related to finance, money, markets, investing, trading, let's do it. Any questions? Let's take a look at AppLovin. It's going to be APP. And we're looking at a lot of consolidation sideways. So we got a resistance up to 744. I would be looking at 541 as a good support. That's a level where we briefly broke down to 481 and then bounced right back higher. And a couple of times in the past, we validated that support at 541. So if this price continues to fall further, and if you can see it at 541, that would be a good potential retest and a swing trading opportunity for AppLovin there. BMR is the new Tesla. Well, I hope it's the new Tesla. Tesla's been doing great. Tesla has been doing incredibly well. It is not that far off from all-time highs. It's back over $1.5 trillion in market cap, or close to 1.5 trillion, $1.46 trillion. Adobe's a buy right now. So, I mean, fundamentally, Adobe's a great company, but the stock's been struggling. I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as a buy. Only because, as I mentioned in my previous live stream, there are companies that are phenomenal. They're great businesses, but they're still not investable because of the overall technicals. And, you know, PayPal and Adobe kind of fit those categories where they're great businesses. I love PayPal. I love Adobe. Like, I use both of these companies every single month, every single day. I'm using PayPal, I'm using Adobe, but they're still, the stock prices are struggling a lot. I mean, stock's been going down in a lower high and lower low. So while it is a great company, technicals we cannot ignore. If there is any kind of confirmation, if it starts to actually put in some higher highs and higher lows, if there's a shift of trend, then yes, there are some opportunities there. But right now, it just sits like a dead capital at the moment. RDW fundamentals. Let's take a look. Redwire Corporation. Technicals look quite volatile. We got a 17 million average volume, 26 million yesterday, $1.7 billion business. Revenue has been rather inconsistent quarterly, but year over year, we are increasing, which is good. And then from a profitability standpoint, doesn't look like it's going to be profitable this year or next year, but annual revenues continue to grow from 300 million to well over $500 million in 2027. And then you've got a valuation of 5.4 times sales. So sales multiple is reasonable, but profitability is lacking. And then you've got a balance sheet which has about $279 million of net debt, which is, again, more debt than cash on the balance sheet. So just looking at it very briefly, supplies space equipment, offers critical space solutions, reliability components for the next-gen space economy with IP for solar power generation and in-space 3D printing and manufacturing. Yeah, I mean, fundamentals are not the best, is all I'm going to say. They're improving, but they're not the best. This is the lower high and lower low pattern. And resistance is going to be all the way up here at 1980. And another resistance exactly where it's trading now, around $10.80 to $11 for RDW. Tesla's movement. Let's take a look at AMD as well. So Advanced Micro Devices. A lot of consolidation sideways. I've been meaning to sell a CSP on AMD as well, but sub 200 is what I'm really watching for. Or possibly down to 170. I do think AMD is still an expensive stock, even though it's phenomenal semiconductor business. Like, I was in love with AMD for a very long time. I still am. I still like AMD a lot. But I kind of shifted more towards Nvidia over the last year and a half. But nonetheless, AMD is still on the watch list. It's still on the shopping list. Just need to nail down the price. And we haven't really seen sub 160, 170 since September last year, right? So it's been a good 4 or 5 months, 6 months that we haven't seen AMD at those prices. It's been flirting around 195 to as much as 270 for a really long time. So resistance is going to be all the way up to 240 right now. Got a support at 225 down to 194 for AMD there. Tesla. We are once again at 440. Tesla's also been consolidating sideways. Volume's really been low. Like, Tesla's volume has really gotten crushed in the last week or two. In fact, since the start of this year, Tesla's volume has been below average every single day except for 2 days. January 2nd, that was the first day of the year. And then January 6th, every single day except for those 2 days, volume has been low at under 50 million yesterday versus the average, which is 70 million. And as a result, we're seeing the price come down a little bit, consolidate sideways. And so support level is going to stay up at 410 to 413 and a huge resistance up to 470. I did sell the 990 calls after waiting for weeks. I finally decided that it's time. Let me just go ahead and sell those calls there. It sounds like Netflix will most likely beat expectations on earnings next week. Will that be enough to overcome the negative sentiment over the merger? I think once we get that clarity, that is Netflix indeed going forward with the purchase or not, I think that's when the stock price is going to start moving again. Right now, there is a lot of uncertainty, and Wall Street likes to price in the worst case scenario. They always like to price in all that uncertainties that's hanging over Netflix, and that's really what's getting priced in. So earnings will come out, and if they beat and they guide well, sure, that could be bullish for the stock, but we need clarity. So one of the only things that drives market lower is uncertainty over the future, not knowing what is going to happen, which is the reality. Well, we live in an uncertain world every single day, but at least we have an idea of what's going to happen tomorrow. But if there are things happening, if there's geopolitical events, there's war, or there's uncertainty related to a merger, companies, anything, right? That uncertainty results in the worst case scenario with the stock coming down. So if it materializes, it's already priced in. If it's not, that's where the opportunity comes in. So for Netflix, I would be looking at $82 as a potential support there. I think that's a pretty strong area of support, validated a couple times already, and I'm ready to be looking at a CSP at those levels. It's all speculative BMR. What do you think about PayPal? I've already shared my views on PayPal quite a few times. PayPal is, like I said, a great company, but just not an investable stock, unfortunately. And look at it, it's back down to $56, $57. Just gives us hope, and then comes right back down. It's down another 30%, since October. And then not the all-time low, but the support level is now at $50. So, I mean, yeah, it hasn't done anything. It has literally done nothing since 2022. It's down about 52% just in the last 4 years. So, I mean, at some point you have to really call it. At some point, there's a lot of opportunity cost. I mean, the only way PayPal would still be something to consider is if you're just wheeling the stock, if you're trading options on it left and right. But even then, I feel like the premiums would be just dead. The options chain would be dead because not a lot of people are betting on PayPal to go higher. The call premiums are going to be low. So see, I mean, it just drops. Like this is for today. Let's just go for next week. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really low. Even for $60, you're not getting paid anything. 13 cents for next week, 1 week out for a $60 call, which is not that far away from PayPal right now. Like it only needs to go up like 5 or 6%. And even then you're just getting 13 cents, 13 measly cents for per contract. Even for 59, it's just like 25 cents, $25. That's it. Can you please look at APLD chart and provide your thoughts? Sure, we have covered APLD in our previous updates and live streams as well, but technically speaking, it broke out from the symmetrical triangle. Coming up to that resistance, got rejected at just sub $40, starting to pull back a little bit, and I would put down a support at around 29 to 30 bucks. I mean, you could argue that this is also a support level for APLD, so it kind of aligned with this previous resistance. We have gotten rejected here in the past and then over here as well, and this would be an area of support to watch, and a resistance all the way up as much as 40 bucks for APLD. LEGN and Oracle. So Oracle we have discussed before. I think it's stabilizing a little bit, so that's good. But for LEGN, $4 billion business, revenue seems to be growing, but profit losses also expanding. And the chart looks horrific for this one. Just straight up lower highs, lower lows since 2023. Been selling off aggressively. So clinical stage biopharmaceutical company. I mean, with biotech companies, you have to really, really be very careful because they're going to be very volatile. So this one depends how much you know about the business. They do have negative net debt, which is good. More cash than debt on the balance sheet. 4.7, just under 5 times sales. Earnings expected to reach profitability this year in 2026 and then keep growing. But with biotech companies, things can be very uncertain and volatile based on clinical trials, whether they pass or don't, whether there's delays, a lot can happen. So can you look at DocuSign, CrowdStrike, a buy? So we're going to be doing a cybersecurity video very soon, probably this weekend. I'll put that video out. But CrowdStrike trades at an expensive valuation, but in my opinion, cybersecurity is still one of those sectors that has tremendous upside. CIBR has not moved much, even though it owns some of the best cybersecurity companies in this ETF, and it hasn't moved much. It has gone up since March 2023. It is up more than 100%, but that is still less than what we have seen for many other ETFs and stocks. And so as a result, I think CIBR has tremendous potential long term, which obviously comes in with CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, Zscaler, Fortinet, all these cybersecurity companies. So for CrowdStrike, I would put down a support at around this level at 450, all the way down to as low as this level right here at 398, close to $400 for CrowdStrike. Heard that today Trump will announce a $15 billion expense to build energy facilities and will ask big tech to pay for it. It's crazy. It's amazing how Trump is just running the economy like a company. He's just literally having everyone spend money, invest in America. Like that's what he's doing. And I mean, there are things that are improving. Like in terms of healthcare, the bill passed or at least proposed yesterday that he's going to bring healthcare costs down significantly, medication, pills, everything. Then of course the 10% credit card cap, pulling gas prices down with the first sale of Venezuelan oil, $500 million sold, received, done. So there are things that are quite interesting that he's doing to grow the U.S. dominance and leadership. And it's just, from the outside looking in, it certainly bodes well for the U.S. stock market and the economy as well. Of course, over time, we'll find out how much is it going to really materialize. But if he does ask big tech to pay for it, $15 billion to build energy facilities, I doubt that they're going to do that. I mean, it's not really him asking. It's just really him ordering at this point. That's what he's doing. He's just ordering companies to do this. But it's also, what's interesting in 2025 and 2026, what we have really seen this year is a lot of companies take ownership in other companies. Like we've seen a lot of not acquisitions, not mergers. Like nobody wants to manage these businesses. They just want equity. And we've seen that with so many businesses, so many companies that they all want to win, right? It's like you don't want to be left behind, so you might as well join the club and co-invest into each other so that you're really like, even if you fail, at least your investments succeed if the other person rises, if the other person succeeds. And that's actually quite an interesting dynamic in 2025 that we saw, like so many companies using their actual cash to invest in other companies. So the equity ownership for these businesses has really gone up in 2025, which we haven't seen much prior to 2025. Nvidia has taken stakes in so many businesses last year with all the cash laying around. That is like amazing. And so many other businesses are doing the same. Of course, the entire AI circular flow with OpenAI right in the middle and everybody around it just investing in them, and they're all investing in each other. So they've got to do something with that money for sure. So which Magnificent 7 stock has the highest potential in 2026? Let's see what the community has to say. What do you guys think? Got a question from Moritz. Which Mag 7 stock you think has the highest potential in 2026? We really have to think about it. What kind of policies or what kind of year this could be, and which stock has the most potential. I can tell you which stock has the least potential. Which stock has the least potential? I mean, this is a company which... Okay, let's do most first. Which company, which Mag 7 stock you think has the most potential in 2026? I think from a valuation perspective, I would argue Meta, just because it's just down so much. It's down over 25% from all-time highs and trading at a very attractive valuation. So valuation makes most sense, most upside for Meta, but then I would put Google or Amazon also at the very top in terms of the most potential. But then Nvidia is up there as well. So yeah, I mean, it would be between those three companies. I don't think Microsoft or Apple are going to have the most potential this year. I could be wrong, but the least potential, I think Apple could struggle. I mean, they're finally partnering with Google on Siri, right? So they finally realized that Siri is absolutely useless. Isn't it crazy? Like the biggest technology company in the world was not able to figure out AI, like voice command, and they had to partner with Google to recreate Siri. And then relaunch it, rebrand it. So not sure what kind of deal it'll eventually end up being. But Google has paid billions of dollars to Apple over the years to be the default search engine for Safari. So now it's time for Apple to pay Google for their services of using Gemini models and other AI models for voice command. Yeah, medication he promises, which will come down by 300-500%, which will result in pharma to pay citizens, not the opposite way around. Yeah, I mean, the entire healthcare sector, I mean, he mentioned that you're going to be paying the lowest prices in the world for medicine. That's a pretty bold claim and a promise. And we'll see how much of that is actually true or happens. But Deer says, I feel like Nvidia can still be one of the lower gain Mag 7s because of how large it is now. I agree. I think Nvidia has already grown into a behemoth of $4.5 trillion. How much more upside does it really have from here is indeed questionable. And this is just on a shorter time frame, right? Longer term, if the chip boom continues, if the AI boom continues and hyperscalers continue to invest and need more capacity, need to build out more data centers and more AI compute, then Nvidia will continue to explode. And the entire China market right now is even locked up, right? So if that starts to open up quite substantially, then that is also another layer of bullish catalyst for Nvidia to drive on. So yes, valuation is a bit of a concern, not a concern, but really a limitation rather. And then how much more upside it really has from here is dependent on very Stefan says, like your stock analysis, but your political one is so bad. Trump says something and you believe it face value. I'm not believing it face value, but I do respect action. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I'm not in favor of Trump. And you know, we obviously, like, I'm not even American. Like, I have no say in the matter. I can't vote. I don't vote. But it is quite fascinating that at least, like, his action taking capabilities is what I'm really talking about. Like, if he says something, he does do it. Like, actually, you can't point out a bluff. Like, he's actually going to do it, is what I'm saying. But yes, there's terrible things and there's good things. So there's good and bad in everything. There's no such thing as a perfect leader or perfect thing. There's always going to be good and bad in everything. So does he lie? Yeah, absolutely. Never keeps promises? Sure. Then lies about the outcome? Absolutely, 100%. So that's what it is. I mean, politics has become a lot more about presenting yourself, like presenting an image, right? It's about being as vocal as you can, right? Actually being a very confident speaker. Like, you have to be very confident, very loud to make people believe. Like, that's what it is. That's what politics is. It's never been about the people, which is the sad part, right? Which is the unfortunate part, when it should really be about the people, the businesses, the companies that are actually making the world a better, more peaceful place. But it's become more drama than anything else. I think AMD will be a serious threat to margins long-term in inference. Their new chips are seriously competitive, and the ROCm ecosystem is developing rapidly as well. Yeah, I think advanced micro devices and Nvidia will certainly go head-to-head on many different ecosystems within AI. AMD also was late to the party, but then eventually they got to it. And once they did, the stock absolutely exploded to the upside. And I think the two companies that are still very, very critical to the entire ecosystem for AI is TSMC. And I was very, very happy to finally see ASML back over $1350. So back over $1,300, right? So $1,350, new all-time high for ASML. So that right there is absolutely incredible. We've been tracking ASML. I've done a full detailed video on ASML for a long time. We've covered this on the channel since April. It is now officially up over 133%. It was trading down to $550, $570, and now well over $1,300 once again. So let's take a look at Nike as well. So coming over to Nike has had its own issues and struggles here. So we are pulling back, starting to roll right back up, resistance all the way up to $69.70. And once again, having that issue with good company, good brand, but technically very, very weak. So this is the lower high and lower low pattern for Nike. So this is the downtrending channel. So that's the lower high and lower low pattern. Revenues have been pretty flat over the last 5-6 quarters. In fact, year over year, they've also come down. Do you think the memory stocks like Micron and SanDisk have further room to grow? So they are extremely overbought, that's for sure. Micron is still sitting at an all-time high now, up another 5% pre-market. RBC Capital predicts the AI semiconductor market will grow from 220 to 550 billion in the next 3 years, with Micron technology positioned to benefit. So they're moving up even higher. Bought 23,000, director bought 23,200 shares for about 7.8 million. The stock rose 75% in 3 months and 226% in a year. So Micron has just been an insane growth story since April of last year, going up more than 300-400% now, 500% almost. But yes, I mean, they're extremely overbought right now. So technically I would avoid looking into these right now because they're purely momentum. They're pure momentum and pure technicals right now. That's what's really driving this stock higher, not fundamentals, because the valuation have just gone Crazy at this point. $60 billion. That's insane. Do you hold silver in your portfolio? Yes, I do have silver in the portfolio. Not a lot, but a little bit. So I do have that. Of course, its value has gone up like 200% in the last like year. And I have more gold than I have silver. But gold has also done very well now. All right, everyone. So markets are indeed open. We got QQQs and SPY trading higher at the open. QQQ more than SPY right now. We got Nvidia back over 188. We got Tesla trading up to 440 right now. And we've got volatility down almost 2% at 15.5 at the moment. So it's a long weekend. Markets are going to be closed on Monday. So it's a shorter trading week next week. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you all. And again, link's going to be down below if you're interested in joining our Discord and our community with the real-time trade alerts, members-only videos on Patreon, educational videos, as well as the MoneyVest website access as well. Thank you so much. Have a great long weekend. And we'll see you all on Tuesday for the Market Open live stream. Thank you so much.